Deep within the borders of Wyoming lies a canyon that's eerily similar to one of the most famous landmarks in the United States. Although this isn't the Grand Canyon, it is seemingly cut from the same cloth. Staring up from the canyon floor is daunting, and looking at those cliffs knowing that there's only one way in and one way out is a little bit unnerving. But this is the adventure we are going on today, and I was stoked for it. Wyoming is often known for the jagged mountains within Teton National Park or the geysers and other crazy features of Yellowstone. But what we often forget is that a desert landscape takes up most of the state's boundary. So just how was this canyon eroded into existence? Former rivers from the Paleocene and later epochs deposited between 10,000 and 20,000 feet of sediment across the basin. After the deposition, erosion took hold and started moving earth and material downstream through rivers and wind. Wind was definitely on display this trip. In such a brutal environment, it's easy to see how these crazy landscapes could be shaped. And with that, it was time to take a geological tour of one of the craziest canyons I've ever been in.
Welcome to Alcova Lake. We're about to go into the Fremont Canyon, which is supposedly really cool. We've got the trusty, nice kayak, remote design scroll top. We're gonna go in there. Doesn't look like much right now. But y'all, this is a geologic phenomenon. It's incredible in there. All right, let's go. Headed into Fremont Canyon, one of the most sheer canyons in all of Wyoming. Fremont Canyon is the North Platte River, and it looks pretty incredible so far. And I'm pretty sure the deeper you get, the more sheer it gets. These canyons out west are pretty crazy. All right, time to make some miles. We aren't even really in the canyon, and we're already getting formations like this. Wow. Technically, we're paddling upstream, so I'm not sure how much flow comes through this canyon, but there should be some because the dams are open and they are moving a lot of water through here. Wow, it's so clear. Woo! Oh yeah. Biggest thing on my mind is potentially rolling over. So I'm going to try to stay as close to the side as possible. You know, I'm getting Big Bend vibes. This is awesome. Wow, all right, Fremont Canyon. It's kind of wild to think, but that wall ahead of us, is that 500 to 1,000 feet? Wow, incredible. Oh wow, less of a sheer cliff, more trees. See, we can cook when there's no wind. Whoa, wow. Okay, that's nice. Dang.
And what's unique about this canyon is the geology changes the further upstream you get. So with each passing turn, a new time period reveals itself. I know this sounds kind of nerdy, but it is so cool to marvel at the different colors of rock, especially since it's in an ever-changing environment.
It's 360 views too. It's literally everywhere. All right, Fremont Canyon. Thumbs up so far. Wow, another magnificent bend. This kind of reminds me of the Green River down in Utah, which would make sense because it's pretty close to Utah, or Wyoming. These are the conditions we were hoping for. No wind, just paddling, some nice flat water. You can make great time just like this. And that's what we're trying to do because I'm not sure how far up canyon we are yet. I've never done this stretch, but it is getting more and more narrow. I wonder if there's still a ways to go. I hope there is, because every single turn is majestic. Like, look at this one. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. This reminds me so much of Big Bend. Yeah, this is just so nice. Wow. That kind of looks like the HL Bluffs out there in Mason, Texas. With all the deposited layers. Wow. How does a tree grow right there? It's gonna be nice on the way out. I'm not sure if you could tell on the GoPro, but I think we're getting close to the outlet of the river because the visibility in the water is changing, which would indicate that we're getting close to the mouth of the river. So the further upstream you go and the closer to the actual river, the less water clarity you're gonna have. The further down into the reservoir, the lake kind of gives it time for the dust to settle to the bottom. And so, yeah, it's definitely starting to look a little bit more full of sediment, which is good, but you can see the wind. This is the speed at which the wind is pushing me backwards.
Everything seemed to be going great except for one thing, and it just so happened to get worse and worse the deeper we got into the canyon.
Well, one thing I'm noticing right now, which is a little bit concerning, is that we're in the shade more. The water is colder as you get closer to the river section. What do you think that means with inflatables? Yeah, you should basically never be able to do that. Happened to my pillow too. So that's usually like, you can't squeeze that at all. And this is just, I should have brought a pump. I didn't even think about that. What happened is we started off in really warm lake water that was in full sunshine, and I pumped it up in the parking lot in full sunshine, 95 degrees. And as we charged upriver, we entered very cold water. Like it's legitimately cold to the touch. Between that and the shade, what that does is shrink the air inside of the tubes. And so I started to notice that I'm like, man, I'm sitting really low in the water. So what this just turned into is a race back to the lake. And that's all my own doing. It's gonna be an adventure back home.
But even in the travesty, you still have to enjoy the scenery. I was halfway through the trip. It was time to refuel before the hard effort back home.
3 rolls for waterproof. I wonder what this was like when it was a river back in the day. That'd be pretty cool to see. When you're out here paddling, you have a lot of time for thoughts. And one of them is about lakes, especially on a day like today. So I'm conflicted because I know they provide a water resource for people in arid climates and, big cities and stuff. They also provide for a lot of recreation and enjoyment. And arguably more people enjoy lakes than there are river runners, people that enjoy rivers. However, I paddle in a place like this, and I just can't help but to wonder what this would have been like as a river, knowing that rivers are just so inherently majestic and nature's trail, kind of like I've said before. Imagine if the Santa Elena Canyon was full of water, a reservoir. It wouldn't be the same, not even close to the same. And so right now I'm probably sitting on, 30 feet, 50 feet of water. And all of these cliffs that you see would be an additional 100 feet tall. Plus you would get the undulations of the riverbed, rapids. Just a few thoughts about rivers. Not that you asked for them. But I don't know, it's just kind of how I think about it, because I would love to have seen all of these landscapes before. Like a prime example is Lake Powell. When they filled it up with water, there's so many different slot canyons and arches and formations that got buried underwater. And of course, whenever they go into drought, you start to see them and uncover them. But there's so many cool rivers that just get swallowed up. Same with creeks. And it's really a shame. Like, I would love to kayak camp this as a river. I know you maybe could as a lake, but I'd really love to do it as a river just because I'm partial to rivers. Does it ever get old paddling in a place like this? Goodness. Amazing. Here we go.
It's hard to see, but a boat had traveled up canyon and found a patch of sunlight to do an evening swim.
What a cool swimming hole. Paddle around, and then you run into a wall that's just staring you right in the face. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Kind of riding a swell into these caves.
The swell just happened to be an indicator for what was to come, although I didn't realize it at the time.
Wow.
We could probably all agree watching this clip that there didn't seem to be anything dangerous brewing. Well, now that we're on the same page, hold on, it's about to get wild.
It's get a little bumpy this afternoon. Man, it is getting choppy. To my benefit, I'll take it, but woo!
The worst case scenario that was running through my head at the time was getting flipped by the waves and then having the wind pull the boat away from me.
That was so strange. Did y'all see that?
Man, I was definitely going to be weary of that Wyoming wind for the remainder of the trip, because it can appear out of nowhere and turn things south real quick.
That was unlike anything I've ever paddled through before. All right, well, I'm gonna be on high lookout for that. Mother Nature is constantly trying to destroy your gear. And thank goodness I have all my stuff in the Remote Designs dry roll top backpack. Because if not, it would be totally saturated at this point. Gosh, if you don't have your stuff in a dry bag and something like that rolls around, you're toast. That was just pure mayhem. Sometimes the most beautiful places are the most intense. In fact, they often are. The sun has officially set behind the cliffs, which in my case is no good. That means I will have no more sun to heat up my raft for the remainder of the trip. This is how fast I'm moving with just wind power. Shows you how strong I can get up in here. Canyon walls are starting to open up, which means we're getting close to home. Good sign after what we've been through here recently. Holy cow. I may be riding low. The kayak pulled through. We're good to go. I can see the finish line. This was an epic canyon. Come check it out for yourself. Bring a boat, bring a canoe, bring a kayak, a jet ski, swim up it. Don't do that. I'll see you on the next one.